Hey folks, welcome back and Happy New Year, I guess. This is the first one for 2023. So for this video, I decided I was just gonna kind of go over all the stuff that I'm wanting to do this year. And if you look back at previous years for the first one where I've done the same thing, you'll know that generally at best I might get like half the stuff done. So, you know, that's just kind of the way it goes. Everything takes twice as long as I'd like it to. But nevertheless, you know, it's good to kind of try and you have some sort of goal for where you're wanting to go for the year, and we'll see how much of it we get done. So first off, we're going to go over kind of some of the animal stuff that I'm wanting to do this year. Now last year all I had out here was the chickens, the laying hens. And right now I've got maybe 100 or so of them, which is actually down from where I've been the last couple years. So one thing that I'm wanting to do with them is probably by the end of the year be up to maybe 150 to 200, something like that. I think this coop should easily be able to handle at least a couple hundred, so we'll be sticking within the limits of what I can put in here. Now that doesn't actually mean that I'll just be only getting like 50 to 100 more. It's actually going to be more than that because some of these they're needing to be retired. They're getting a little bit old. They aren't laying so great. So some of these will be getting moved out, and then we'll be bringing in a whole bunch more over the course of this year. Now I've actually already got the first group of chicks ordered. They'll be coming in, or they'll be shipping, I think, on January 31st. So they'll be coming in here, I guess, beginning of February. That's when we'll be getting the first of those in. And I'm not quite sure when the next batch after that will be coming in. It'll probably be maybe 4 to 6 months after this first group comes in. Now along the same topic of chickens, I'm also planning on getting back to doing broiler chickens this year, or meat chickens. I'm not entirely sure how many of those I'm going to do. That just kind of generally depends on how much demand there is for it, but hopefully I'll be getting maybe the first batch of those going by the end of February, something like that. And that'll maybe be 30-ish chickens that I'll do at a time in a batch. I generally like to do them in a little bit smaller groups. It's a little bit easier to manage for doing the processing on them. And then a third, and I think final thing for poultry, is that I'm gonna get back to doing turkeys again this year. And of course this will be later on this year. Those will be coming in probably in August, I think. So of course those will be raised out for Thanksgiving. May have a few for Christmas as well, but that'll be later on, and that'll maybe be 20 to 30 turkeys or something like that. But again, it kind of will depend on how many of those it looks like I'll be able to get sold. Now another animal that I didn't do last year that I'm hoping to get back to doing again this year is pigs. And the plan is to put the pigs back here in the middle woods. So this is kind of like halfway back the farm. We got, well, the mill house is down there. Got the middle woods, then you got the back pasture behind there, and then the backwoods that go all the way up the mountain. Now the reason that I want to put them in here is that this is a really mature oak woods. And the cool thing with that is that, well, actually there's a couple cool things about it. One is that it stays cooler during the summer, which the pigs really like. They like being in the shade. They don't deal quite so well with the heat, so that's a great place to put them. Another cool thing about it is that in the fall, when the trees drop the nuts, that's forage that the pigs can eat. So it just makes for a really nice place to put them. The only problem is that this is not fenced yet. I'll probably only do like maybe 3 pigs this year. I've had a lot more than that at times before, but just for kind of getting back into the swing of it, probably just do a couple, 3 of them, something like that, and then maybe next year we'll ramp it up a little bit more. Oh, of course the wind would pick up right now. Man. So our first new project for this year, which was originally supposed to be one for last year, is I'm really hoping to get some cattle in. The ones that are out here right now are actually being run by some guys that lease part of the farm, and so these are not mine. But I'm hoping to get some of my own this year. Now, this is, of course, dependent on getting some fence done so that I can separate mine out from theirs. and I'll get a little bit more into fencing here later on in the video. So as I've mentioned a couple times at this point, doing the fencing is kind of a big deal in getting a couple of the things done that I want to do. Now at the moment we're working on getting the fence done around the Springfield, which is in front of the mill house, and this is actually a hay field that the guys that are running the cattle on here are using. So it's kind of a high priority to get this finished up here in the fairly near future. That way, once the weather starts warming up and the grass starts growing, this is fenced out that the cattle can't get to it and are trying to mess up the hay or anything. So kind of first priority for fence is to get this wrapped up. And then from there, I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to hit next. We might move up to the middle woods and start working on trying to get that fenced out, because I want to get that done early enough that I can get pigs and then have them processed out the end of this year. So might try working on that next, get that done, and then we'll move to maybe trying to fence out some of the area where I want to put my cattle once I get them. But of course for my cattle, it's not quite as important to get it done earlier in the year, because I can kind of do that whenever, whereas for the pigs I'm on a little bit more of a set schedule of when I'd want to have them finished out by. So another new project that's going to be starting really soon here is I'm going to try tapping a few maple trees this year. And this is something that I've been wanting to do for a few years now, and I'm finally getting around to doing it this year. I've got some stuff ordered. Hopefully that'll be coming in here in the next week or so, and then I can start tapping some trees. Now, what I'm going to do is these trees right here, these are all maples behind me, and they're actually right around in back of the old farmhouse. And then, I don't know if you can see it, it's really washed out, but over there, there's the mill house over there. So it's fairly close to there where I'll always be storing and boiling and stuff like that. So this is a relatively easy place to start with. Now, one of the first things that I need to do before I can start tapping is, it's not exactly the best fencing job that was done around here, but in order to kind of hold post up, all of these trees down through here have wire that's wrapped around it. Some of them, it's still on the outside, but you can see how it's really starting to bite into it. And in some places, it's even started getting grown into. So I need to go through, get all of that stuff cleaned off here before it starts really messing the trees up. And then hopefully once that's done, I'll have my tapping stuff in and we can start messing around with this. Now I'm not entirely sure how many taps I'm gonna do. I think I'll just get a few started, kind of see how much sap flows from those, and then we'll kind of go from there. I don't want to get too many in and then get a whole bunch of sap collected and not be able to boil it off fast enough, which that's going to be the main bottleneck of the process, is getting it boiled off, because it's a huge amount of water that you have to get boiled in order to get 1 gallon of syrup. So that'll just kind of be a trial and error thing to see how many of these we're actually going to put taps in. So for the farm garden this year, I'm hoping to expand this out a little bit. I might try doing a little bit of stuff for market as well. We'll see how stuff grows. If you recall, last year things did not do real well. I got them out a little bit late, and I think it was a little too hot when I moved them out, and a lot of my stuff didn't come up well, but may try doing a little bit for market this year. And then also, this is a thing that I mentioned last year. I was hoping to get it in the end of last year, but obviously it didn't happen, is that I've got a grant to put up a high tunnel, a 3,000 square foot high tunnel. It'll probably be a 30 by 96, so a little bit underneath that. And that more than likely is going to go right back here, right in back of where I was growing stuff last year. With any luck, I'll be getting that ordered this coming week. So that'll get the ball rolling on that. I don't know what the lead time is on them at the moment. I'm guessing it's probably going to be at least a month before that would even be ready to be picked up. So that'll bump that out maybe into February sometime before I'll be able to get the high tunnel kit, and then however long it takes to build it, and then hopefully he'll be ready to go here to plant stuff in this spring. And another smaller-ish project is going to be this thing right here, where I recently noticed that the clutch is starting to slip just a little bit on it. So I've actually got in all the parts, I think, to do that project. So I should be working on this sometime in the near future, getting that pulled out, put the new clutch in, and get that replaced so that this is good to go. It still drives just fine around here. It's just sometimes when I got it out on the road, I notice that it's not quite running the way that it should be. And another smaller-ish project, I hope it's a small project, is doing some work on the baler. As you may recall, last year I picked this thing up and I was having some issues with it. The shear bolt kept on breaking on it. So something's not quite running right with this. And so I need to tear into this, see if I can figure out what it is that's causing that, and then hopefully get this up and running so that I can make some hay this coming year without having quite so many issues with this. So as you can tell, kind of the main projects for this year are going to be growing stuff, raising stuff, kind of doing that sort of thing, as well as probably a whole bunch of fencing. There's always going to be, you know, a bunch of other little projects that are going to come up throughout the course of the year here and there, which we aren't going to know about those until, well, we know about them. Generally because something broke. So I think for the most part, this mainly covers what's going to be going on for like the next 12 months around here. If there's anything that you think I'm going to be doing that I forgot to mention, just go ahead and ask about that. I'll get back to you, and more than likely I'll go, well, that's gotten bumped back for the time being, but it's entirely possible that I've just forgotten about it amongst just a handful of other things that I'm working on at the moment. But anywho, this ought to be fun, at least for me, to get back into doing some of the animal kind of stuff. I didn't get to do a whole lot of that last year. So I'm looking forward to that, as well as getting to show you guys kind of what goes into that in doing this sort of stuff on a very, very small scale. So I think that is going to be it for this week's video. As always, I appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you next time.
Who's your good girl? Who's your good girl? Yeah. Yeah, you want a belly rub? You want a belly rub? Oh, yeah. Yeah.